Hey there everyone, this is Umar and today we are going to understand how to code the algorithm for the bisection method in Python. First of all, in order to code the method, let's go through a review of it. Alright, so in the bisection method, we are given a function. Here we have x squared minus x minus 4 and we are expected to find out its root. Here we are given three variables a, b and c, where a is the lower boundary of the root and b is the upper boundary of the root. Firstly, we check whether the function of a multiplied by the function of b equals to be greater than 0. If that is the case, bisection cannot be carried out. However, if that isn't the case, then we find out c by taking the average of a and b. Then we check whether the function of a multiplied by the function of c comes out to be lesser than 0. If that is the case, we swap b and c together. However, if that is not the case, we swap a and c together. Simple enough? Okay, so in this implementation of the bisection method in Python, we will use number of iterations to determine the approximate root. So let's begin to code. First of all, let's just define a function for bisection. Here, let's pass in 4 arguments. The first one will be the function, second one, the lower boundary, the third one, the upper boundary, and the fourth one would be the number of iterations the user wants. Now, let's create another function where the function the user will give us, Python will translate that into something it can read. So f is equals to eval function and we return f. As we learned in the review of our bisection method, we were to check if the function of a multiplied by the function of b equals to be greater than 0. If that is the case, we will print out bisection can't be carried out. Simple. Now, if that is not the case, we are to iterate over the number of iterations, right? And for that, let's just take a variable. Let's name it n. We set n to 0. Okay, let's put in a while loop. Now, this while loop will work as an iterator over iterations to produce the root. So, let's start again. Now let's use a while loop for iterations, and we will use while n is lesser than equals to the number of iterations. So each loop we will increment n by 1. So right now n is 0, then 1, then 2 till the number of iterations, so that the user is satisfied with their input and their output. Now our next step would be to find out c, which would be the average of a and b. So we take the average of a and b divided by 2. Our next step would be to find out whether the function of a multiplied by the function of c equals to be lesser than 0. And if that is the case, we were to swap b and c together. And if that was not the case, we were to swap a and c together. Now, let's increment n by 1, since we need that to keep the loop going, otherwise it won't run correctly. Let's just print our root and our equation in a formatted string. So we just do it so. The root of the equation, we put the equation here and the root to be here. Easy. let's carry out the bisection method. So let's give it an equation. Let's give it x cubed minus x minus 4, right? Let's give the lower boundary to be 1 and the upper boundary to be 2, with 5 being the number of iterations. Let's give it a go. And it works perfectly. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video and hope it was informative for all of you. See you in the next one.